A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote-unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Wow, I swear, this lady is absolutely disgusting. So let me get this straight. When we bring up real terrorist attacks like Fort Hood and the New York truck attack, her response isn't to address the threat, it's to blame white men instead? Seriously? What a disgusting individual. Here we have Ilhan Omar going viral again for her disgusting comments and her disdain for the United States. But Dr. Phil wasn't having any of it. Check it out.
Who are we talking about here? Omar fled Somalia, a failed state, a country ravaged by civil war, corruption, and poverty, and she spent years in a Kenyan refugee camp. She resettled in the U.S. as a refugee. She was given housing, afforded education, opportunity, freedom. She became a citizen in 2000 at 17.
I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship, and I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like it. To have a democracy of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries.
How about just thank you? Thank you for giving me a soft place to land. Thank you for giving me a track to run on. Thank you for giving me somewhere to be and thrive and grow. She has every reason to be thankful. Is she? Not even almost. Instead, she spends her time bashing the very country that saved her and her family. This isn't new. In 2019, she said,
"This is not going to be the country of white people."
In 2020, she said, we must dismantle the whole system of oppression. It's so oppressive that she came here as a refugee, got all of these entitlements, and was elected to Congress. In June 2021, she compared the U.S. and Israel to Hamas and the Taliban, saying, we have seen unthinkable atrocities committed by the U.S., Hamas, Israel, Afghanistan, and the Taliban. Really, she puts the U.S. on that list. That's crazy talk. When talking about 9/11, she said,
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something.
Really? Some people did something. Way to stand up for your country. She accused U.S. foreign policy of being rooted in colonialism and oppression. If this is such a horrible country, wonder why she doesn't return to Somalia. Well, maybe because Somalia isn't the most corrupt country in the world. It's the second most corrupt country in the world. It's 179th out of 180.
Exactly right. If you don't like it here, take your ass back home. Period. I mean, the ungratefulness from this dimwit is on another level. This lady was given housing, education, opportunities, and eventually citizenship at just 17 years old. Talk about the American dream, right? And somehow she still claims America is the villain in this whole story. Seriously, instead of gratitude, we get lectures about dismantling America and claims that the US belongs on the same list as terrorists. What a freaking joke. And her disgust for white people is on another level. But it's clear not everyone in her own party is comfortable defending that kind of rhetoric.
James, I want to talk to you about the other day. I saw you going off a little bit about Representative Omar, where you just told, I believe it was her, you just told her, leave the party. I mean, I want to know where that came from, and when you speak with this level of frustration, can you enlighten us about what exactly it is that you're talking about and what got you so ticked off when it came to something like that?
She started attacking white males. And I'm saying, wait a minute, let's stop. All right. In 2024, 72% of the people that voted were white. All right. That's just a fact. Of that 72, probably 48% or 48.5 were male. So it's somewhere around, I did the math on the thing, about 33% of the people that are going to vote are going to be white males. Well, it's stupid to attack 33% of the voters. That's not, you don't want to start there. What you try to do is you start and you build up. And so what I would say to Congressman Omar, why don't you be a Democratic Socialist of America? Do what AOC did. But we have to get this mentality out that we can win national elections with white people, because you can't, right?
Without white people, because you can't.
Without white, yes.
You're right.
That we can somehow or another win an election without white males is literally mathematical insanity. Cultural insanity as anything else.
Exactly right. This lady is out here making white people out to be the enemy. Like that's somehow acceptable political rhetoric. It's crazy. She's painting an entire group of Americans as the problem just because of their skin color. And we're supposed to pretend that isn't blatant racism? Seriously? If anyone else stood up and talked about another race like that, the outrage would be non-stop, wouldn't it? But because it's coming from the radical left, suddenly everyone is supposed to look the other way? No, we're not doing that. Let's call it what it is. Judging and attacking people based on race is racism, plain and simple. How in the world do we allow a sitting member of Congress to push this kind of rhetoric is beyond me. But it doesn't stop there. The dimwit even disrespects our Secretary of Defense.
Pathetic as Pete Hegseth at this point. We've been watching his press conferences. He's saying all these crazy things. Honestly, I don't even know.
I mean, what can you say? He's always been pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
It pains me as a Minnesotan that that's the person that we have in the administration, and I just hope he gets replaced, because he's an embarrassment on a national and international stage for us.
Wow, the irony here is unbelievable, isn't it? Pete isn't the embarrassment, she is. Plain and simple. This lady is the definition of contradiction. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. She truly believes she's some kind of victim, while simultaneously being one of the most privileged politicians walking the halls of Congress. How exactly does she square that circle? We're talking about someone who fled a failed state, came to the United States as a refugee, was giving safety, opportunity, education, and ultimately a seat in the United States Congress. And somehow America is still the villain in her story? What a joke! But what really gets people fired up is the rhetoric, the constant bitter contempt for the very country that gave her the life she now enjoys. It's not just criticism, it's the tone, the attitude, the non-stop narrative that paints America as some oppressive monster while she sits in one of the most powerful positions in the entire government. That's the part people find absolutely disgusting, and rightfully so, because when you're elected to represent the people of this country, the bare minimum expectation is that you respect the country you serve. That's it. Instead, we hear rhetoric that divides Americans, insults huge segments of the population, and constantly portrays the United States as morally equivalent to the worst actors on the global stage. Think about that for a second. This is the same country that rescued her from chaos, gave her a future, and allowed her to rise all the way to Congress. And yet, we're supposed to sit here and accept lectures about how terrible America is. Seriously, if you truly believe this country is so horrible, why are you still here enjoying everything it offers? Seriously, if America is supposedly this awful place, nobody is forcing you to stay. Millions of people around the world are desperate for the chance to live here, build a life here, and succeed here. So hearing someone who has benefited this much from the American system constantly trashing it is beyond frustrating. It's insulting. And if you hate it that much, maybe it's time to go somewhere you can actually appreciate. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.